Thanks for joining in for our video today. Today I'm going to talk about a topic that I think is quite interesting. It's how to find quality tenants, right? So when folks get into this real estate investing, and I particularly lean toward buy and hold, an important part is what kind of tenants do you have? How much are they paying? What's the overall experience there? Because you don't want to be in a situation where you have these tenants and you're mad and you're angry all the time because you have to be taking care of them or babysitting too much, or you don't want someone to give you a hard time when you're being a landlord. You want to try to have a nice, clean process so you don't have to eat up all your time and just be a property manager, right? So especially if you're self-managing, here are like a couple things, and I guess the overall process of how we go about finding tenants. Here's where I would start. Is one, you want to make sure that the property is clean and presentable. When you go in to show this person, this future tenant, you want to set the expectation that, hey, this is a nice clean house or a nice clean apartment, and we take good care of things, and you're setting the expectation correctly from the very beginning. If you go through and show them, hey, this place is a mess, then they can say, oh, okay, cool. Like when you ask them to take good care of it, they're going to say, okay, yeah, but you didn't have the guy before me take good care of it. Why the heck should I care, right? So it's important that you set the right expectations from the very beginning and you have a nice, clean, presentable place. And honestly, here's one that I think is very important. You need to price it correctly. Although there are different ways and different ideas on how to get more money for rent, you probably don't want to charge the max point that you can for rent, because you just have less people there, right? What we typically try to do is about $50 below what market rent is. And the reason being is folks are like, that's a good deal. So you have a lot of people that come out, and because you have a lot of people come out there, then you have more options on what you want to do. So you say, okay, great. So we have a lot of people out there. And here's the overall process, and then I'll jump back into the little things there. But here's how I go about doing it, right? So one, I do want to make sure it's clean and that we have the home priced correctly. And then what I do is then I create an ad. And there's not necessarily paid ads, right? There are ads that you post on Craigslist, KSL, Facebook Marketplace. There's a lot of good Facebook groups to join. If you guys have any questions on which groups to join and which groups to post in, if you have rentals, let me know. I'm happy to share those with you. I don't want to have it out there for anyone and everyone, just because I don't know how much those groups would appreciate it. But one way or another, if you guys have any questions on what groups to post in, I'm happy to share that with you. So you want to make sure that you're posting it on those, and then you have an open house. And then after your open house, right, you want to do this ad to take people to the open house. And essentially I just have anyone and everyone come out. Say, hey, we're going to be there Saturday from 2 to 4, or Saturday from XYZ, just any time that folks are typically available. And then because you've priced it correctly, you're going to have a lot of people come out there. So when you're there in person, you can kind of weigh out and feel what it is that you're looking for, right? And then you have your rental application there to go over all those questions. So if you do it correctly and you've picked out a property that there is high demand for it. I love 2-bed, 1-bath apartments, especially here in Utah. Whether those are condos or fourplexes or even 3-bed, 1-bath, we just have a very high demand for that. We have UVU, 40,000 students. We have BYU, I think 25 to 30,000 students. So anyway, there's a lot of folks who want houses like that in the big market for it. So you price it right, you're going to have a lot of folks that come through the open house. And there you give them their application. So if you like them, you want to try to have them fill out their application right then and there, right? And then if you do it well, you can probably, just the way the numbers play out, you're probably going to have, if you get 10 applications, you're probably going to have 5 or 6 of those folks that you're pretty okay with renting it out to them. You'll probably have 2 who I don't want to touch that. A number of different things, whether it's criminal record, a lot of drug use. There's a lot of things that you can look at there. Or you have probably 2 or 3 that you can pick from that are really, really good. They're going to take good care of the place, they're going to be there the amount of time that you want them to be there, and then you just feel like overall they're going to pay their rents on time, they're going to be good tenants. So as you're feeling all that out, you can go in and see that there. If you guys want to see the rental application that we use, I'm happy to send that to you. Just send me a message and I'll shoot that through. But with that rental application, it has all the questions there, so you can look at them and say, okay, I felt like I really vibed well with person 1, 2, and 3. Now I look at their applications. Their applications look great, and then you can be picky, and then you just pick whichever one you feel the best about, right? Because you already did your homework on all of that. They're good to go. And then now you have a good tenant. You're able to get everything done very quickly, right? And then the overall process on how fast it can be, honestly, if it's vacant, then you can either pay someone to clean it, you can clean it yourself, you can make sure it's already clean. That's an option. If someone's currently living there and you're trying to make sure you don't have any vacancies, then, I mean, one way or another, you can either pay someone to go out there and clean it and say, hey, I'm going to send out my cleaners, it's going to be done the way I like it. If you're fine with them and you're comfortable with that person having it clean enough to create the right expectation for the people, then you can say, okay, great, go ahead and you clean it. We're going to have this open house from 2 to 4. That way we're not bugging you too much, so they're happy about it, the tenants that are currently there. And then you're happy about it because you're not spending a lot of time there. And then you go in there and a couple of days before when you do the ad, right, then you want the pictures done for it. And you don't need like a huge professional, great photographer, but you want good pictures that show the house and show that it's in good shape, right? So you go in there and you have the pictures done, and it's important that the place is clean in those pictures. If you want to make sure that you don't have nearly as many people out there, then, I mean, take bad pictures, don't post it on a lot of different places, don't price it right, I mean, and then you'll make sure that you only get bad people out there, which is great, right? No, not great. I'm being sarcastic. So that's the general idea. Is then you have the rental application, and then once you have that, you've picked it out, you've sorted them out, and then step number 3 is you sign the rental agreement. Again, if you want the ones that we use there, I'm happy to send you a copy. This in my opinion is very important because it sets the expectations right from the very beginning. It's there in writing. You have that. Ours make sure that I think they're pretty fair. They does a good job taking care of the tenant, but at the same time, it does a good job protecting the landlord. So we want to make sure that we have those there in the right places for the right times. And then once all that process is done, then you're done. You have a tenant, you're happy, they're happy, and it's an all-around win-win situation. If you skip some of these steps, or if you don't do these things correctly, then you create future headaches for yourself. So just spend the time. It's really not that much. I mean, to have someone go in there and clean it, whether you do it yourself or whatever, I mean, maybe depending on the size of the property, maybe it's an hour, 2 hours, right? You price it correctly, that doesn't take you any time. You put it together, the ads, if you put them all in places, worst case scenario, you take an hour, right? Open house, 2 hours. And then looking through the application, maybe another 2 hours. And then writing up the rental agreement and have everything done, maybe 1 hour. So that's 5, 6 hours, tops maybe 8 hours, let's say 10 hours. You put in 10 hours of good work in the very beginning and do it correctly. That can save you tons of hours later on. That can save you from having to try to chase down your the checks that you need. It can save you on a lot of different issues if you just do these things correctly. If you guys have any additional questions on what you need to do there, maybe the process in a little deeper context, what we can do there, what to say in the description, I mean, there's a lot of things that we can talk about there. Bottom line though is if you have the right price, if you have good looking pictures, you have an available time for people to come in and take a look at it, then you shouldn't have any issues finding good renters, and just make sure you do your due diligence all through the process. But again, if you guys have any questions or would like any of those documents, feel free to send me an email or send it in one of the comments, DM me, whatever you'd like. I'm happy to take and send that your way. Thanks so much.